All right. Hello. Welcome back to PipeCast. On this episode, we'll be covering another Hodgepodge blend, this time Velvet. Let's take a look at that blend.
All right, what we have here is Velvet pipe tobacco. An old American classic, Velvet is entirely comprised of sun-ripened burley, topped with hints of liqueur for a sweet and smooth smoke, marked by notes of anise and nuts and a delicious room note. That's from SmokingPipes.com. So this is a burley blend. Now, depending on where you look, of course, we all know dark fired Kentucky starts out as burley before it becomes dark fired Kentucky. But depending on where you look, SmokingPipes.com or Tobacco Reviews or wherever it may be, sometimes it's stated that it is Kentucky burley, and that its components are burley and Kentucky. But as opposed to Smoking Pipes, it says it is just burley. There's a little bit of, I guess, confusion on my end. Being kind of, still young to some of the terminology, as opposed to whether or not this is burley, or is it dark fire Kentucky, or is it just burley that's from Kentucky? Whatever it may be. I'm gonna lean towards it is just burley, but it says it is sun ripened, so it's maybe it's some kind of cross. It's not so much. It hasn't gone through that dark fired process, but it has gone through some type of sun ripening. But nonetheless, it is a burley blend, just in time for Burley Boy summer, and it's our latest Hodgepodge. So let's get over there and smoke it.
All right. That was Velvet. Again, I think this is like the sixth Codger blend if you include Haunted Bookshop and Gold Block and all that stuff. But of the, you know, original, like over the counters, this is really, I guess, the fourth one, because we did Sir Walter Raleigh, then we did Carter Hall, Captain Black, and now Velvet. So, I mean, like I said, you kind of count Gold Block, and then we allude to Haunted Bookshop being like a modern codger, but as far as American OTCs, this is really our fourth one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is maybe the second time I've smoked it. I smoked it a few weeks ago. Um, so this is a pretty fresh impression. I don't know if you had Velvet before.
No,
Um,
I just opened it.
okay, so this is a true first impression for you.
Yeah, I thought I was waiting on your more lived in
Gotcha,
impression, and I was just going to smoke it the first time.
gotcha. And I think two smokes is good enough to be lived in. Uh, it might require a little bit more, but with these codgers, it's kind of, I think we've started to realize that they're very, very similar to one another. I will say though, well, I don't know. Maybe you should go first since this is your first time. I don't know if you want me to kind of give my take, or if you got an opinion right now.
Do you want me to go first?
I don't mind. I don't want to sully your opinion, but if you hadn't formed one yet because you just start lit it up, then I'll go into whatever I got to say about it.
Well, my very first impression is, like I said, kind of the same old story with these Hodge blends. However, it definitely lives up to its name. It's got a velvetiness to the smoke, which is nice.
Hmm.
Um, a lot different from like the burly stuff that we've been, diving into, which is interesting because I'm assuming this has got a burliness to it.
I think it's
Uh,
only or it's
well,
only it's Burley, Kentucky.
interesting. I don't know, man. Like it smokes different. Like it's not like it's a full mouth fill, but it's just a smooth, and it might be a little bit of psychology playing on me, where it's just the name's Velvet, so I'm thinking about it in terms of smoking, but it does cascade off the tongue pretty nicely. There's a tart rose water tint to the first couple of puffs that I thought was kind of weird. I thought that was going to be with me through the whole thing.
Hmm.
Now I'm a little worried that maybe I'm ghosting or something, but I never smoke out of this corn cob.
Oh,
So there's got to be some sort of weird sweetness that is in this.
there is
But
some kind of topping, but it's a light topping.
this is white.
Yeah.
Mm, I like it. I think that it kind of reminds me of like Smarties. You remember that candy? That chalky
Mhm.
candy? It's
Yeah.
got that kind of taste to it a little bit, like just sweet tart, but not chalky. But the smoke is velvet. This is probably the best hodgepodge blend I've had so far.
Mm. Hard.
Um,
Yeah. Okay.
I would like to do a head-to-head again once we're done with this series with like what I consider the top two or three. So this and Sir Walter would need to go head-to-head.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is the first one since Sir Walter Raleigh that I think um I guess they can go toe to toe with Sir Walter Raleigh in my opinion. It it's kind of if we think back to it, my opinion was that Sir Walter Raleigh was a better version of Carter Hall. Carter Hall and Sir Walter Raleigh were very similar, but Sir Walter Raleigh just was fuller and richer. And then Captain Black kind of started doing something a little bit different, but it just wasn't that great. The Velvet to me is kind of the better Captain Black. Like whereas Sir Walter Raleigh was the better Carter Hall. This is kind of in that same realm that Captain Black was in, but just a little bit better. Um, I think it's a lot more. To me, it seems more earthy. Like it, I don't know it. And depending on, so my first smoke is different than this smoke. This smoke, I didn't let it dry as much, so it is smoking a little bit more harsh as opposed to that first smoke. But that first smoke was very nice, very smooth. But it's got, I don't know, it just seems more, to me it feels more burly. It feels the most burly of any of the codgers we smoked. Um, as far as burly in the sense of like an aberrant burly or a cobblestone burly, whereas Sir Walter Raleigh felt very Solani kind of burly. If we're going to distinguish like those different types of burly flavors, so uh, but
I do
it
like
does,
how like it's not overpowering with whatever topping is on there,
it's very light.
and I
And
think it keeps me in the ball game quite a lot.
oh yeah, yeah. Now I will say though, this time around, I'm getting a little bit of a like a Virginia quality where it's feel like it's wanting to bite a little bit. Again, that's probably just because I didn't let it dry enough. I kind of just took it straight from the bag and threw it in there. Um, so, um, so I guess be careful if you're going to smoke velvet. It, it probably needs a little bit of drying time. Granted, though, I have it in whatever it came in. It came in. Had to get it bulk, so it didn't come in the pouch. It came in like a Ziploc, and I've had this for 3 4 months, and it's just been in this. So
Mhm.
it stayed pretty moist. Um, but but no, I think yeah, I'm getting kind of like that more rustic, woody, nutty, burly kind of flavor. Um, I think mainly because it's Kentucky, and I've never had a blend. I believe, unless I'm mistaken. I've had several burley blends, and sometimes, of course, Kentucky is a burley that's been was it fire cured or is it smoke cured? Fire
Well, I
cured.
mean, most dark Kentucky's fire cured, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a burley, right? And so I've had blends that were burley Kentucky mixed or had dark fire Kentucky in there, but I don't think I've ever had a blend where dark fired Kentucky is the main player. And I
Mhm.
believe that's the case here with Velvet, that it is Kentucky is the main player here. Um, so that I'm kind of treading in new waters here. Um,
Well, the stuff that they use is just wet pine, wet. Maybe it's. I don't think it's hardwoods, but you know what? Don't quote me on that. last time I took a guess, but I know it's sawdust that's been wet. I thought it was pine, but it might be some hardwood or something, right? And then they just smoke it, and it smokes up the leaves. The point is that whatever that wood isn't as aromatic as, say, the process for smoking Latakia. And the leaf is different too, because I think the leaf is like Samson or something like that. It's some oriental leaf that gets smoked and cured, and that process becomes Latakia. And then, of course, based on where it's at, Cyprus or Syria or whatever, will be what type of Latakia it is. And I guess their processes are a little bit different. They're probably not too terribly different, but they're different enough.
Yeah, Latakia, unless I'm mistaken, Latakia it's actually fire, whereas dark fire is more smoldering, right? That
right,
wet
right.
is smoldering.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's smoke cured.
Right.
The Latakia is more fire cured. So.
But I know that they use like a lot of aromatic woods. Don't press me on what that aromatic wood is. I don't know, but apparently that's what it is, and that it, cures the leaf. There was an urban legend that it was camel dung that they used that gave it that kind of flavor, but that's apparently just an urban legend.
That'd be funny. There's a good YouTube video. Maybe I'll find the link to it and put it in there. But it's I think it's the University of Kentucky did it, and it's like a documentary on them going through and picking the burley and then doing the dark fire, doing the whole process. It's a pretty.
I've seen that. It's cool.
Yeah.
A lot of what dark fire turns into is Copenhagen.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I think all dip is dark fire Kentucky.
Oh, wow. I mean, it gets back to what we were saying earlier. We think of Virginia as the all around component, but it seems like burley is the more kind of spread out one. It's in cigarettes. It's in the Codge pipe blends. It's the dip. It's Perique. It's dark fired. It's kind of a little bit of everything.
I mean, we say that, and we see what the Europeans have done with Virginia and their Cavendish.
Yeah.
So it seemed like there was a trend to do something.
Yeah.
And then, burley, I mean, burley for all its, whatever, traits or non-traits, so to speak, or its adaptability. There's one thing that's sure true about it, and that's it's got the most nicotine. And I think that's where it really rises to the occasion.
See, and that's the funny thing, because I smoked a good bit of burley, and I smoked a good bit of Virginia. And Virginia, specifically Virginia Perique's the only time that's ever really kind of knocked me on my butt. I don't know why vapors do that to me, but burley's never really given me a problem.
Well, it's just, it might be, it feels like it couldn't possibly be Perique. Maybe it's just that there's something in that blend that doesn't make you slow your rhythm or something down.
Maybe so. I always thought it might be the sweetness of the Virginias, kind of, for some reason. I thought maybe the sugars in there maybe amplified the nicotine.
Maybe.
I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. But
well, I know dark fired Kentucky has laid me out before, but
yeah.
1792 flake can be kind of something every once in a while where you stand up and be like, whoa.
Yeah. Which I think we're going to try to do that blend next year, and I'm not prepared for it.
I love 1792. It's good.
Yeah,
actually, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm looking forward to it for the flavor. I'm not so much looking forward to it for the nicotine. But
it'll knock you on your tuchus. For all the complaining and griping I've seen over the years for Lakeland tobaccos, and they always sell out so fast. I've been noticing that. Like, Every time I go ramp up to get Lakeland, I'm like, well, it should be readily available, right? Nope.
No, no. I mean, people talk as negatively about Lakeland as they talk positively about Esoterica. Yet they're both never in stock.
Yeah. Esoterica, man. It's like if Esoterica was Galwith, Samuel Galwith, I would understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, and Samuel Galwith is easier to get, so.
Don't make any sense.
Mm.
But I guess to get it back to Velvet, yeah, I think we finally found one. I mean, you said it earlier. You think it's the best one so far, and I think it's. I still think I like Sir Walter Raleigh more, but this is getting cool. This is giving it a
They're
run.
similar. It's similar. So it's not like they're similar, but something about this has an edge.
Yeah. So it will be fun when we get to the end of the year and kind of see what our top few are and have maybe do some kind of maybe when we start next year we can have some kind of re-review of the ones that we like the most.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think Velvet and Sir Walter Raleigh are kind of the front runners at the moment. Um, but yeah, I would recommend Velvet if you haven't had it before. Um, I don't necessarily think this would be. I mean, it could be rotational if you're gonna have a Hodge have a Codger blend that's a rotational. It could be, and I think it just depends on what side of the line you fall on. You know, between Velvet and like the ones that
Mm-hmm.
are like Velvet and Captain Black, or the ones that are like Sir Walter Raleigh and Carter Hall. Like just whatever line you fall on. I think you can. I think most people would enjoy this blend if they enjoy other Codger blends.
It's definitely good. I mean, it's good. It doesn't bother me, so I can't say anything negative about it.
No, I mean I didn't like Captain Black, and I didn't really like Carter Hall. So,
Well, I
but
mean, this is good though. Velvet's good.
yeah, this is actually good. This is like I said, it's actually the first one to give Sir Walter a run for its money. So, because I like Sir Walter, I think Sir Walter is a rotational for me, just because it's got that flavoring that I've always liked. That's similar to Patience of Doctor Silence and We Three Kings. It's got that kind of that sweetness kind of flavoring on top of it. So,
Yeah.
but Velvet doesn't really have that as much. So that's why Sir Walter still kind of has a little bit of an edge for me. Um, but no, yeah, it's good. I recommend Velvet if you haven't had it yet. So
Yeah, I think so. I think it's one of those ones where I could recommend it. It's definitely in a budget sense. It's cheap enough. Just grab a pack if you see it, and I don't think you'll regret it. I do think if you smoke a lot of it, this is only something I'm just sort of picking up on, is that it could leave you with some tongue bite.
hmm yeah,
But yeah, it's good.
yeah. So like I said, I think this one is a recommendation. So um, and if you're a Velvet fan, let us know in the comments. You know, kind of what you think about it, or if you've had it before, kind of how you feel. And, because I mean, I think the consensus for most of our comments on these Codger reviews have been, I think a lot of people really like Captain Black and Carter Hall, which are the two that we don't like as much so far.
Yeah, but there might be something to that, like where you start is where you finish kind of thing.
Mm, yeah,
For people who are just like, I like smoking, and this fills that niche, and I don't need to venture out anymore.
yeah. So it's like this is my go-to.
Right, yeah, I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with that. And just saying, like, I guess if some people are getting a niche filled,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, man, and yeah, you're right. So, but yeah, so this one keep it short and sweet. I don't know if this was a shorter review or not, but regardless, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again for future videos. And like I said, leave us a comment if let us know what you think about these blends.
Cool.
All right.
So, have a good one.